So you have a curriculum for your child and youth development program. You're ready for them. Scratch! Pump your brakes, not so fast. Your staff, camp counselors, youth workers, VBS volunteers, teachers, coaches, mentors, etc., need to be educated, equipped, and empowered about child and adolescent social-emotional development, culturally responsive interventions, culturally responsive problem-solving strategies, child and adolescent mental health critical issues, how to recognize, understand, and manage issues related to family dynamics. It not only benefits the staff, but also the children and youth. The benefits for the children and youth are 1. They will feel psychologically safe with a caring and supportive adult. 2. They will be transformed by a trusting relationship with an understanding adult. 3. They will relate better to others because they are better understood. RUMERTIME Prevention Intervention Coaching.
I choose to only think of thoughts. I choose to only think my thoughts. I choose to only think my thoughts. Rumor time reflects when my mind is upset. I can change my mindset. Do not be thrown offset. Rumor time reset. Rumor time.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another Access Rumor Time Conversations. We missed you all, and we missed you so much. We wanted to bring the same cast back on again this week. All right. So here we are. I'm Dr. Yvonne Marie Laria, founder of GC Scored and the ARC Show. And with me, we have the most amazing host and guest, and they're going to introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back again. I am Dr. Geneva Fleming, bringing you greetings from South Carolina. Always a pleasure to be a part of this conversation, and so glad to be with you again this week, Octavia.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back. Hi, my name is Octavia Ray, and I am from South Bend, Indiana.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Laverne Shaw Bailey, and I live in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm here in the capacity of somebody who has used the RUMERTIME process in my life, and I'm so excited to be able to hear some more of Octavia's story today.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanessa Kelly Brew. I am excited for this episode of the RUMERTIME Access RUMERTIME Process Conversations. Our last episode, we had Octavia with us, and we had so much like interaction from the audience and so many different questions and post episode, we did our like wrap up and process time, and we got into more discussion with Octavia, and we thought, you know what, this needs to continue on. And so again, today we are so happy to have Octavia back today so that we can delve deeper into this RUMERTIME process. So again, welcome, Octavia.
Thank you.
Yes. And so before we go into that, we always have to have a little bit of education, right? We educate, equip, and empower. And so this is the educate section. And so if we can bring up the slide for what is social emotional health and wellness. Dr. G, could you read to our viewers
Absolutely. So, what is social emotional health or social emotional wellness? It is a person's ability to recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect on one's thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotion as it relates to themselves, to others, as well as to situations. It's also the ability in the process to effectively utilize those competencies to educate, equip, and empower individuals of all ages and stages and locations successfully and to successfully navigate daily activities such as loving, learning, earning, relationship building, problem solving, and adapting to the demands of growth and development. So that's a description of what we mean by social emotional wellness or social emotional health.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And then we go to the next slide, and Laverne Shaw Bailey will tell us what the RUMERTIME process is for us, what the acronym stands for.
So each one of those letters stands for two parts of this word, rumor, time. And in the process, you go through rumor as it relates to time. So you recognize your thoughts, your interactions, your mindsets, and your emotions. And then you begin to dig deeper, understand those thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions. And then you, through that recognizing and understanding, are able to manage your thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions. And you go all the way down until you get to reflect your thoughts on your thoughts, your interactions, mindsets, and emotions. So each time you're focusing on your thoughts, your interactions, your mindsets, and your emotions, and constantly going deeper.
Awesome. And today we're going to be focusing on what?
Understand.
Understand. That's right.
Understand. We're going to be digging deeper. And understand is the ability to know more details, to how something works, going to the root, the origins, the causes, when something first started. When do you remember something first starting? And so that's what we're going to do today. So this is the acronym for RUMERTIME. And then the process, the RUMERTIME process, we define it as a 5-step, culturally responsive, social emotional problem solving strategy that helps individuals move from a position of intra and interpersonal imbalance to intra and interpersonal balance, and from unconscious living to conscious living. And so, giving you that framework, this is the context in which we're talking about today. You may know a lot about a lot of different things, but here today, this is what we're talking about, and this is what the RUMERTIME process is. And this is the process that Octavia and Laverne and myself and others, but they have gone through this process to get to an understanding, to get to deeper places. And so let's get right into let's start digging deeper. Let's start digging deeper. So Vanessa.
Sure. So, as I said earlier, after the show, we were processing and just processing to find out what went well, what we can improve on, and recapping the conversations. And what came up for Octavia was that she talked about the mindset that she had to be perfect. She used smoking as a coping skill because for those of you who were not a part of the episode last time, Octavia talked about the challenges that she had in stopping smoking. And what Octavia realized when she stopped smoking, she removed that skill or that coping skill and learned rumor time, she was able to clearly recognize and understand the patterns in her family.
Mhm.
And one of the things that Octavia said was that she had the belief um, that what she did was never good enough.
Mhm.
So the belief for her was that she had to be perfect.
Mhm.
And so what
Go
we
ahead.
talked about was what came out of that belief and how that impacted her and her relationships.
Mhm.
So, and that is one of the areas that I really would like to point out, because in my thought process, I thought everything I did wasn't good enough, but that was never what was told to me. It was always a sense of, hey, you can do it this way, or hey, this is too small, or this is too big, it needs to be smaller. Whether it was just household chores, or stepping outside and how we present ourselves, or making sure everything was nice, neat, and perfect. Not not having a nasty attitude in a sense, but like, who really wants to have a nasty attitude? Just being subconsciously aware of everything appearing to be right. I mean, even down to the meal preparation, it had to taste perfect. Couldn't make like a pot of spaghetti and have huge bell peppers in it, or you know what I mean? It was unacceptable. Yeah. So, go ahead.
So let me ask you a question. Let me make sure I hear what you're saying, because I want the audience to really understand this. You were saying no one in your household said, Octavia, you are not good enough. No one in your household said, Octavia, you are not worthy.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It was
Hmm.
never said in those explicit ways. And
Mhm.
what you were saying is that it was like, just by the way the interactions, the approval or disapprovals,
Mhm.
those are the messages, those
Mhm.
unconscious messages
Mhm.
were given. Am I correct?
Yes, yes. So
Mhm.
no one never physically said, this isn't good enough, or
Mhm. Mhm.
you know what I mean? It was just the suggestion of this needs to be this way, or you need to make sure you present this way, or if it's a piece of a tiny speck of a piece of paper on the floor, like that needs to be picked up. You cannot. No one should ever see that. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
so it was like having to put a wall up or a guard up of perfection, so no one could ever say anything. But of course you know, you you begin to feel like, okay, everything I'm doing is not good enough. Is it not? You know what I mean? Why
Mm-hmm.
is this not good enough? Why? And it's um, we just got to be so. You have to understand that a lot of the things that we were taught, or how we were raised, or the values that were passed down, some of those they made us who we are,
Mm-hmm.
but they kind of messed us up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me let me ask this, say this. So we know that within the rumor time process, that behind every behavior is a belief, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So uh and Dr. Yvonne just talked about those unconscious, those unspoken messages that you receive. So
Mm-hmm.
how help us understand what those messages were saying, or what, no, that's not the right question. Your thoughts, your thoughts behind those unspoken messages.
So my thoughts was, I was okay, what I did was unappreciative,
Mhm.
unappreciated, or I was unworthy, or I couldn't do something right. The thoughts, I wasn't accepted, what I presented wasn't accepted, what the effort I put in may have not been accepted. Um, you know, and it really leads to a place of rejection,
Mm-hmm.
and not just, you know what I mean, not just there, but even going out into the world and becoming this teenager to becoming this grown woman. When you enter different environments, and you know, certain things trigger stuff, and it makes you feel as if you are not accepted, or you are not worthy, or it is not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
um and it can just be as simple as being overlooked.
Mm-hmm. And so, Octavia, so it moved from, for you, it moved from interpreting those messages as a belief, right? You
Yeah.
started to believe
Yes.
that you were not worthy, you were not, approved of, you were not accepted. And then those beliefs turn into behaviors of, I have to be perfect.
Yes,
I have
absolutely.
Right. I have to be perfect. Now, I want to say something here. It showed up for you. Tell us how it showed up for you, because for other people, it shows up as, well, if I'm not good enough, I'm just going, whatever, man. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, right? How did it show up for you? How did you behave because of the belief that you had to be perfect?
So my belief of having to be perfect, okay, so I friendship wise, I felt like I was overlooked. So I wasn't in certain social
Settings.
environments. Yes, I wasn't accepted. So my thing is, if I couldn't be accepted in maybe a particular area of maybe participating in sports when I was younger, or dressing a certain way, or knowing certain things, I began to strive for success, like professional success, success in ministry, success in education, success in all these other ways, because I felt like, well, if I'm not accepted here on a level where all these other peers is accepted, I'll just try to overachieve to be accepted.
And so, but that is it. That has worked out in a positive way for you.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't change it anyway.
But we know that there are other people who that same type of, a very similar type of issue of perfection doesn't work out that way, right? It
Yes.
doesn't always work out that way. Laverne, what do you want to say? I see you looking like you want to say something.
Well, in some ways, it did work for you because you're quote unquote professionally successful, but it seems to me that it came at some emotional costs to you.
Absolutely.
And so if you want to share with us some of those, expand on some of the emotional costs that came as a result of your striving to be successful.
So it definitely came with some emotional cost, because in a sense, you know, even growing older, and you know, not being in the home, or with maybe parents, or being around children, you know, when you were younger, you still you see those things in some of the relationships, and emotionally it'll make you feel like you know, what you're doing is still not good enough. You know what I mean? So like emotionally I would tend to beat myself up, like, okay, I am not producing what I want to produce. I need to study this craft more, or you know, why is or even relationship issues, you know what I mean? Like I noticed that with my children, I had kind of, it trickled down emotionally, and I would make them feel as if what they did wasn't good enough. A simple chore like cleaning the bathroom, simple chore like washing the dishes, you know, and it was never to make them feel terrible. It's just that that is what I was taught. Now, maybe it might have been how it was stated that I made them feel like it wasn't good enough, and not realizing how I stated it was an issue, because it's a different way to redirect as well. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's, and we're taught that it's not how you say,
Right.
it's
It's
what
on what you say, but
how you say it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that piece, Octavia. If I could just interject right here, I'm glad you mentioned the piece about your children and how you either direct, manage, or respond to your children. Because an earlier question I had for you is approximately around what age did you recognize or start to have the thoughts that what you were doing, all your efforts weren't good enough? So,
Oh,
yeah, how
so
far back does that go?
so it adolescent, 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 adolescent. And that's that. And I think it's so, man, and I pray that this help people who have children that are adolescents or teenagers, because I wish I could have caught it 8 years ago. You know what I mean? But definitely adolescent, that is when I realized a lot of the things that, you know, I was doing or striving to do, maybe it wasn't the best way, or I could have did it better, or, you know, or at least those were my thoughts. Like I stated, I was never told that, but you know, the direction, the guidance, maybe the comments, you know, it made me feel like it wasn't right. I didn't do it to the best of my capabilities. More was expected of me. And I just, you know, when you are at that age, you are just learning who you are growing up to be.
Absolutely.
You're just learning what you like. You are going into an age where kids are mean. So you already have all these children around you that are torturing you. You know, going to school, being bullied. I mean, because these are the things that, you know, you go through and endure. To then, your mind is not fully developed. So you're dealing with a lot of things that are coming from kids, that are coming from school, the stresses of homework, trying to do sports, trying to fit in. What is your niche? What are you good at? Then to coming home and, you know, now you learning stuff at home as well. And I think that's like a age of extreme pressure, and we don't even understand or know the pressure that we tend to put on our children at that age. Oh, and that's when I started to notice it. That's when and I don't want to say it in that sense. Like that is when I started to notice or feel, I should say, that goodness, you know, I'm doing this ain't good. Ugh,
Yeah.
the cake wasn't baked right, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but
And your behavior during that time. So I'm not sure when you started smoking, but can you describe briefly what your response was to some of those thoughts that were going through your head at that time about all
I
these
think
things are happening and here you are?
I think the response is you try to figure out a way to fit in and be accepted. Because you got to think, if someone is constantly telling you that you're not doing something right, or if not, and not saying that they're saying you're not doing it right, but what they are saying is making you feel as if you're not doing it right, or you could put more effort into it, or it's just not good enough. Eventually, you're going to look for a different source to tap into or plug into or pull energy, whatever it is you want to say, that is going to make you feel accepted, that is going to make you feel loved, that is going to, in a sense, accept you as you are.
And so, Laverne, I want to bring an intersection here. Laverne, you have, I know you have a story that is very similar to Octavia's in regards to things are not going right. You can't do. You remember that whole thing with the bird poop on the door. Do you want to just give a little? Are you able to?
Well, what I want to say to Octavia is, again, thank you for sharing your story, because it allows people like me and other people who may be listening to identify with ourselves. So when you talked about cleaning, I am in that exact situation where I'm never communicating to my daughter, you are not good enough. But I am always intimating, I need you to clean it this way. I need you to clean the bird cage this way. Why didn't you clean it? You forgot to clean this part. And I can see in her face the utter disappointment that she is not meeting my standards, even though that is not what I was trying to communicate to her. In my mind, I'm just helping a sister out. So when I'm listening to you and the feelings that you had when your family was doing that to you, and the juxtaposition of that now that you're doing to your children, gives me the same insight. Like I am in that same space. And if she's using this process to help her, I can use this process to help me. Nobody wants a child to walk away from their presence with their dignity not intact.
Yes.
So many times I see my child walking away from me with her dignity not intact.
So I would like to jump in here just for a second here. One of the things that we also talked about in that post wrap-up session was about generational patterns. And Octavia, you phrased it as generational curses. And, we talked about doing things the way our parents did it. And your parents doing things the way their parents did it. And those things, as you say, Octavia, trickling down then to how we parent our children and the messages that we are giving them. And so those same messages that you received that you didn't like, or that pushed you into a certain direction, or to have different interactions with people based on how you felt, is also what you had to give to your children. And one of the things we talked about too is that we do what we know until we learn to do something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Dr. Larry, you had said something about not using that phrase generational curses.
Yeah. There's a danger in certain, words matter. Let me just start off with words matter. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. One of the reasons I do not like to say minorities, or you're a minority, or you, oh yeah, that word, especially because you keep hearing that you're a minority, you're a part of a minority group. What are you going to do? You're going to start acting like you are a minority, like you're less than. So that's one issue. The generational curses, my take on that is, speaking about generational curses, using that phraseology means that, in my understanding, means that This is something that's happening to me from a source or a place that I have no control over.
Mm.
When when you put yourself in a position where some things are happening to you, first of all, you become a victim.
Mm.
Then you become disempowered. And you keep saying over and over, this is a generational curse. This is a generational curse. You are disempowering yourself by your words that you're speaking.
Mm.
As you disempower yourself, then when you're taking away the power that you can use to help problem solve. You're taking away that power because there's something outside of you that has cursed you, right? Has
Mm.
cursed you, your mama, your papa, your tanty, your great grandma. Okay? It's a curse. And so we have this curse as a family. And so I can't do anything else but be who I am. Right? And if that is the mindset, if that is the belief, do you see how it will be very difficult to change behaviors? It will be very difficult to dig deep because why am I digging deep? There's no deep to go. The deep is, you could dig, but the deep is, oh, it's a generational curse. And that's as far as you're going to go. So it limits you from doing work and being your best self. And the RUMERTIME process helps individuals to change that language so that they could be empowered and dig deep. Go ahead, Octavia. I see you.
And I wanted to put emphasis on that, exactly what you said. Saying it as a curse, it is like saying you have absolutely no power over the situation.
Yeah.
Whereas the simple word gives us an entire new mind frame. A cycle can be broken. Like you said, a curse is like, there's no way out of it unless I go kill this lamb and lay it on the altar.
Exactly.
And light the cat. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
what it does sound like. And one thing that I will say with this and doing the RUMERTIME process, like I know that cycles have been broken.
Mhm.
And
Say that again. Say that again. Say it slowly and say it again. With the RUMERTIME process.
yes. So with the RUMERTIME process, cycles have been broken. Cycles have been broken. Barriers have been taken down, pulled down, and I now have the tools and the resources on how to move forward, and the things that were built up, they can be broken down, they can be torn down. So it's very rejoicing, it's very pleasing to my spirit and even to my soul, because I don't have to accept the things that I have been taught or the things that I have been conditioned to do. The mindset that, you know what I mean, has been implemented through, like we said, cycles, or through the emotions, or feeling certain ways because of things that were said but not exactly stated. It was in a sense what I got from it.
From it.
Do you have an example of something that happened recently where you behaved in a different way than you had in the past?
Absolutely.
Telling us about when you left the situation.
Wait, I'm sorry now, which situation? Because our conversations get
You
good.
were with a group of people and you were not feeling validated.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, so so I was in a situation where I didn't feel, like you stated, validated. I didn't feel comfortable. My spirit was easily agitated. It was easily irritated because of just maybe a few simple phrases that was spoken. And immediately I began to feel like this little, like extremely little. And I had to get up and separate myself from the situation. And as I began to get up and leave, I realized that this was something that I had I had been experiencing for a very long time and just was not aware of it. It was, to me, it was normal. I had been so used to listening to it. But when I didn't have, like we stated before, the fruit of everything that I was hiding was the smoking. So that was the fruit that I bared from all the thoughts and the emotions, and trying to suppress them. I couldn't smoke. So I had to literally sit there and recognize and process it and manage it. And then I began to understand what was going on. Like, hold on, I've been experiencing this for years. I just never knew that I was, because I was able to get away and use something else to suppress it and then go back like everything was fine.
Right, right. And so since you've been experiencing that feeling of smallness, that feeling of people not appreciating you, but didn't know what it was until you got involved with the RUMERTIME process and started actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And what would you say, Octavia, would be one of the emotions that went along with being able to recognize that this is something that is not acceptable?
So one of the things that I realized that I had control over the situations that I allowed in my atmosphere and in my environment, and I no longer had to accept them.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, I was using smoking as a resource to just deal with what came at me. But I literally got okay, hold on. I don't have to sit here through this. I have control. And as God is in control of all things, but I have control of the situations that I allow myself to sit in and sit under. I don't have to listen. You know what I mean? I don't have to accept what is being spoken or what is being released. Because sometimes we may say things and we're not. I think we just have to be very
conscious. Yes.
We handle others.
Yes.
And the things that we say, because there is so many other ways. And I think a lot of the times it has to do with a lot of people that you're familiar with. When you're familiar with them, you just feel comfortable saying anything. And sometimes I think that we're not so aware of what we're saying to these people that we're so comfortable with, that we really impact their way of thinking, their way of moving, their way of living life day to day. And again, going back to those cycles.
Yes.
That, and this is the thing about the cycles. It's not even just passed down from like generation to generation. Some of these cycles is taken with us into relationships, partnerships, um, business wise, dealing with customers, you know,
Yeah.
professional relationships.
Yeah.
So, you know, we truly have to be mindful of what we were taught. So
Yes.
it's really back to understanding.
It's understanding. It is understanding.
Mhm.
And so we have a comment in the chat. Vanessa, you want to share that with us?
Yeah, the comment came from Lois Lynn. She says that sometimes that person may underachieve because they think, why bother even try? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for Octavia, she became very driven to become successful. And there are some people who are the opposite of it. You know, if this is how I'm feeling, then why do I need to even bother at all?
Yeah. Yeah. And we want to get our viewing audience engaged. If you have questions for Octavia or any of the hosts, please put it in the chat, put it somewhere, let us know what it is, and we will be willing and able to answer your questions. Or if you have any comments, now is the time to keep doing that. And so what we want to continue talking about is the how the how did we get to this place with Octavia? How did we get to this place? How did we get Octavia to dig deeper? Right? What was it? What was it that we were able to ask Octavia? And I think one of the things that we, in our conversation post episode 7 last time, was this word called shame. That was when our conversation took a nose, it went deep, right? Because Octavia, I don't know if you remember, but there was something you said about um, shame, not wanting your family, not wanting to show up unprepared, not wanting to look a certain way in public, not wanting to, you know, sound a certain way because you're from this family and you have to behave a certain way, you have to present a certain way. There are expectations, right? And that all families have it, whether it's for good or not for good, right? So, and we discovered in our digging deep that shame is at the root of the idea of perfection.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I think that is definitely it's a hard hitter, you know. It's a hard hitter to have to realize and have to you know, manage. Because now you're you know, you've went past recognizing and understanding, but now it's like managing. Okay, so this is where you know, this may have risen from, or this has risen from. You know, sometimes it's just wanting to be what you are told to be, or wanting to be what you feel like is accepted, or what you feel like is pleasing, I should say. Pleasing, you know, just how you conduct yourself, even in a sense too, you know, like not being that disappointment. having high expectations in everything that you do, to achieve, to excel, to, you just don't, it's like failing.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to fail?
Nobody does.
And I think that is where the shame comes from, the shame of failing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't get it right, or if you don't master it, or if you don't nail it, or if it's not perfect, you feel like you failed. And then with failing comes what? Shame.
Shame. And then how do you, and so another question I know we asked you was, when did you first experience that shame? Could you remember when you first experienced it?
To be honest, goodness, I wouldn't even, I couldn't even tell you, because I literally could not remember the first time. But even experiences in grades. I remember having experiences in grades where and it's so funny, because I think it was Lois Lynn Patrick. She had said sometimes that a person may underachieve because they think, why even try to bother?
Right.
So I remember having an experience with my grades where I didn't even want to try. But I didn't even want to try.
Right.
I did not want to face the fear of bringing home these bad grades. So I literally forged my report card.
Oh, wow.
Because it had to appear as if I had been doing everything that I was doing. My grades were perfect. I was getting this homework in. I was doing everything. And then, of course, I got rewarded for the grades. But of course, my teacher seen the report card and was like, hold on, wait a second. This is not right. So I ended up getting in trouble. But it was that was one of my moments of shame where I did not want to go and present this. And it wasn't even the getting in trouble aspect of it. It was just the like, why you just didn't try. You didn't try hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just not making an effort. And I think that, after, experiencing that, it's kind of like, so that was definitely one of my moments. And I think I was like maybe in like the fifth or sixth grade. So that's definitely, I was actually in the sixth grade.
Oh, wow.
I think that was 12.
That's
so
12.
It goes back to that adolescent age.
That preteen, that tween years, those tween years when you're trying to, and that's the time in our development when we want approval. We want approval. We're just beginning to move out of the elementary age and getting into the teen years. And we want approval. We want approval from our friends and our parents. And if the building block was that you're not getting that affirmation from your parents and the people in your home, the primary care setting, then it could really set the stage for you to be bullied, for you to do self-harm, for you to struggle with issues of abandonment and rejection, and peer pressure becomes a more real situation, because you don't have that foundation of acceptance. You don't have that foundation of self-worth. And so and self-esteem issues, like someone said on the chat. So it's very critical for then, I would say, for people who are caretakers, whether you're biological or adoptive or foster or whatever, if you are in charge of children, right? If you have any interaction with them, it is critical that you yourself become be able to rumorize yourself, become aware, become conscious of these issues at an early stage before you do unconsciously what we've heard Octavia says, and also our other co-host Laverne said that it happens. You don't intentionally say, I'm going to hurt this person's self-worth. It just happens. And how does that's unconscious.
Yeah.
And the RUMERTIME process helps you to move from intrapersonal and interpersonal unconscious living to conscious living.
Yes. Yes. And it's, it's funny because even as I'm looking at the comments from the online guest, and they're saying, self-esteem issues and self-acceptance, and those are some of the layers. Those are some of the layers that you aren't truly aware of. So you're perfecting, you're trying to be perfect.
Yes.
And it's like a cover up. It's like a cover up. And, she said you feel exposed because now everyone can see your hurt / pain. And that is so true, because it's like you clothe yourself in strength. So you're strong and perfect and, in order. And, so definitely, like, it definitely makes sense. But I love what the RUMERTIME process has done. It's made me aware of a lot of the things that I was not aware of. And I just thought that people were mean, or that, I just thought that people were mean, or that, people don't have hearts, or, even times, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But it allowed me to see that it is simply me accepting and allowing, me recognizing what is going on, understanding what is going on, managing what is going on, and began to, okay, how am I going to
move forward,
and how am I going to now again manage this in my environment, manage this mentally, so that I can reflect and be able to come back to a solution or a way to attack these issues that would have left me stagnated, or left me still smoking, or left me curled up in a ball, not willing to do the work, not willing to heal, not willing to face, real life situations, and kind of just go in a shell and hide like a crab.
Yeah. And Octavia, I want you to think about this. You said when we were planning for this today's session, you talked about how the RUMERTIME process helped with, and is helpful for those who have addictions. Before you think about that question, I want to see what's in the chat. Laverne and Geneva, welcome back.
Thank you. We apologize. I think the system is showing some cultural disparities against the states.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks like Laverne is frozen again.
Again. Oh, yes. I was going to say you're anti-South Carolina and North Dakota, but I'm glad to be back. Thank you.
Good. Glad to have you guys back. So in the chat, Vanessa, you want to help me here? Adedoyin says, expressing your desire for change. Yeah. And the next one is Naomi. What does she say?
So Naomi says, thank you, Octavia, for sharing this. If only I had this while growing up, it would have made such a difference in my early life.
Absolutely.
Again, thank you.
And Ade Doyin says self-acceptance. She says self-esteem issues. And we talked about what Lois Lynn had said earlier. You feel exposed because now everyone can see your hurt or pain, and you may not know how to react with yourself or them. How did you overcome this? How did you overcome that? And so you can answer that question as well, and it's in fear of failing. But I want you to go back to that question I asked earlier. Yeah.
Yes. So I know for a fact that this is an amazing system. If you are struggling with an addiction, because usually you find other things to use or put in place of, whether it be drugs, alcohol, drinking, maybe it is shopping. Maybe you have an addiction to shopping or a gambling addiction, or you know what I mean? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad addiction, but if it's something that is hindering you in growth or goals, or is jeopardizing like a place that you're going to achieve or have a desire to achieve, I feel like this is the rumerized system.
Rumertime process.
Rumertime process. I know, I'm sorry, I rumerized, you know.
I know you rumerizing even now.
Yes,
even
now. So, you know, it is truly a blessing because it allowed me to go through the steps, and it dug up layers that I had no idea was there. I literally had no idea that it was going to be some layers, and that I was going to be finding out. And those were some of the reasons why I was dealing with the smoking, and I didn't want to face dealing with emotional roadblocks, not knowing exactly how to get over this stump. Like, I thought that I would just be smoking forever, just smoking the rest of my life away, because I thought I enjoyed it. And it wasn't that I necessarily enjoyed it. I enjoyed the escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like what you said earlier about how the process has helped you to do what you just described, to unearth some things and to help you find solutions. And I'd like to add to that to say solutions that are helpful, because we're thinking pulling up the bottle is a solution, right? Smoking can be a solution, but you have identified some alternative solutions that are helpful. You've decided and have found them to be helpful and not harmful to you.
Yes, absolutely. And that's it. It's finding a positive outlet, but also facing the things that we don't want to face. You know, getting down to the real nitty gritty of things, and unclothing yourself in those layers that we've secretly covered up, secretly hidden away, not even knowing. There was some things I didn't even know that I was like really dealing with until I began to use the steps of the rumertime process.
Excellent.
Yes. And so we have 2 minutes left. We have some comments in the chat still, Vanessa.
Yeah, Dawn says, you are so correct, Naomi. If we only had this growing up.
Yeah,
go on.
The good news is, hey, we got it now. So we need to hold fast to it and move straight ahead. Hey, and begin to impart this into the next generation, right? Our children, our grandchildren, our students, and whomever we encounter in the various settings that we're placed in.
And ourselves.
Absolutely.
You can't impart, you can't give what you don't have.
Absolutely. Mm,
we have to get to the place where Octavia got to.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes. And
That's what we have to do.
I just wanted to state really quick, I think that this would be so good for the adolescent age because it makes them aware of their feelings, their emotions, their thoughts, their interactions. And if we could have that to help, I feel like the generations coming up after us, like you stated, Dr. Geneva, we would make such a better world. You know what I mean? A lot of violence would be eliminated. A lot of, I just truly believe that because then we're able to know how to deal with it, how to manage it, how to cope with it, and move on positively versus acting out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much. We have so much comments in the chat. Rumor Time ambassadors. These conversations are also helping me to face myself and try to be me without the many masks. Yes, we need to spread this to the schools, the churches, and our homes. We need it in the public schools.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us again. Octavia, you are the bomb, bomb. Love you, and we thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story with us.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second and fourth Mondays of every month. And again, go to our website. The information is on the chat, on the
Screen.
on the screen, www.everypeacematters.com. You can get information on how you can get the RUMERTIME process in your schools, in your home, in your churches, in your communities. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you in May.
Next time.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Awesome, Octavia. You're getting the chat. Thank you, Adelayoni. Yes.
Have a curriculum for your child and youth development program. You're ready for them. Screech! Pump your brakes. Not so fast. Your staff, camp counselors, youth workers, VBS volunteers, teachers, coaches, mentors, etc., need to be educated, equipped, and empowered about child and adolescent social-emotional development, culturally responsive interventions, culturally responsive problem-solving strategies, child and adolescent mental health critical issues, how to recognize, understand, and manage issues related to family dynamics. Why does your staff need this training? Your staff needs this training because what are the benefits for the staff? They will better understand the connections between how their beliefs impact their behaviors. They will have more confidence in their support skills. They will become more socially, emotionally competent themselves. RUMERTIME Prevention Intervention Coaching.